Welcome to Rank Rhino, where you can learn it all. Today, we'll be going through the top 10 TV series that never got a second season. For this list, we'll be looking at some of the best shows that got cancelled after their first season, much to the dismay of all their fans. The benefit of them having only one season might be that you can quickly finish watching them, but in the end, you end up wishing there were more seasons you could watch. Number 10. The Get Down.
Out in the street, get him out of here.
Come on, look, hold
The Get Down is hailed as one of Netflix's best original series, despite it having just one season with 11 episodes. The show is set in New York during the 1970s and follows the rise of the hip-hop movement, but it also does so much more. It uses a unique way of storytelling through magical realism, mixing real events with fantasy moments. And even if the show became too abstract with its mythical records and abstract musical performances, the core cast's vulnerable moments bring a sense of authenticity to everything.
All the news that fits a print. Mama's death went unreported.
Although The Get Down was 10 years in the making and tells the awesome story of the humble beginnings of the most popular musical genre nowadays, it never found enough of an audience to be labeled as a success. As such, it got cancelled and didn't get a second season. Luckily, you can still watch its first season on Netflix. Number 9. The Inbetweeners US.
Keep your head down and you should be fine.
What do you mean keep my head down? What are people going to do if I don't?
Importing a show from the UK to the US is always risky, as it can easily be labeled a boring knockoff and quickly forgotten. Luckily, Brad Copeland is one of the best producers of irreverent comedies around, so realistically, this show is always going to be fun. The series focuses on 4 not-so-popular American teens and uses quirky punchlines and awkward situations to invent its very own brand of laughter, suitable for a US audience.
I'll re-knob his boner backwards. I'd literally re-knob her so hard that my penis would be pushed.
Sadly, fans of the original never gave this version a chance to stand on its own, and it never caught on in America. The UK version's Joe Thomas once said that the US Inbetweeners was doomed from the start, as it couldn't include drinking, obscenity, and raunchiness due to being on network TV. Number 8. Undeclared.
The van fell. I was in it.
My God, are you all right?
Yeah, I think.
Judd Apatow is one of the best producers when it comes to realistic comedies for young adults. As such, it's no surprise that Undeclared is such a beloved show and considered an unofficial sequel to Freaks and Geeks, even though it aired over 20 years ago. The show follows a group of students in their goal to have the time of their life in college. It shows funny, realistic depictions of everything from awkward romances, to problems with roommates, to having to deal with family.
What's going on?
Steven, I don't want you to be overly concerned about this.
Judd Apatow brought along Seth Rogen as a regular in the show and even had many of Freaks and Geeks alums as guest stars. Sadly, even with this amazing cast of talented young actors, the show only managed one season and was cancelled due to low ratings compared to its competition on the Saturday night TV time slot. Number 7. Police Squad.
Get me Pete Prusing on Homicide. Tell him I want to meet him and a few of his men down at the inn.
Leslie Nielsen's Naked Gun films are examples of some of the best slapstick comedies out there, with his role as Detective Frank Drebin being known by practically any comedy fan. What many people don't realize is that the character was first a part of a TV show called Police Squad. The idea for the series came when its producers watched a police procedural show and decided that the genre was ripe for a parody.
Jim Fell's the teller?
No, Jim Johnson.
Who's Jim Fell?
But he's the auditor.
Nielsen needed little convincing to join the Police Squad cast, with the show being full of great punchlines, hilarious puns, and clever double entendres. Everyone that worked on the TV series was convinced that it was gonna be a hit, but unfortunately, it never caught on. Most critics nowadays are convinced that it was simply too ahead of its time and label it as one of the best comedies of the 80s. Number 6. Battlestar Galactica.
Your wing ready, Jolly? Ready, sir. Boomer?
Ready, Captain.
Let's go.
Some great one-season shows do get their second season. but decades later. Battlestar Galactica launched in 1978 as a 24-episode TV series that aimed to capitalize on the hype around the sci-fi genre that Star Wars had just generated. The show focuses on the tail end of a war between humans and a race of robots called Cylons, with the Battlestar Galactica being a warship that humanity uses as its base of operations.
Looks to me like a lot of our boys violated orders and skipped the party.
Yes, make a note, Colonel.
The show ended up cancelled after its first season due to competition from other networks. That wasn't the end though, as after many fans wrote letters to the network about the show, it got a reboot, Galactica 1980. The reboot aired only 10 episodes and was again cancelled, but the franchise did achieve success eventually. In 2004, 24 years after Galactica 1980, Sci-Fi brought Battlestar Galactica back and it became one of the greatest sci-fi shows of all time. Number 5. Bunheads.
The fundamental difference between an S Corp and a C Corp is expected income and subsequent...
ABC Family's Bunheads might have only had a single season, but dedicated fans of the show felt that the drama lasted much more. The story of the series revolves around main character Sutton Foster. Sutton is a classically trained ballet dancer who relocates to a laid-back Central California town and starts her own dance studio when she inherits her husband's fortune after he dies in a car accident.
There's something in my bed.
Oh.
Bunheads is full of engulfing dramatic moments as Foster forms bonds with a teenage girl she's working with in her studio. It borrows heavily from Gilmore Girls, with both films being produced by Amy Sherman Palladino. Although the show was met with universal appraisal, ABC Family cancelled it due to it not being able to attract a sizable audience and having low ratings as such. Number 4. Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah, hey, mine looks Chinese too. What's going on with that? Whoa.
This is an entry that few people would argue with, as Freaks and Geeks became a cult classic in the 2010s. Here's of future stars like Seth Rogen, James Franco, Linda Cardellini, and Jason Segel. Its strongest suit was that it offered a unique depiction of what adolescence is like, with it not shying away from showcasing the awkward and unfavorable moments of being an acne-ridden teenage outcast.
Thank you, Mr. Kalchevsky. Sam, you want some advice?
Freaks and Geeks never managed to garner too much attention during the 90s, with NBC relegating it to a graveyard time slot on Saturday nights. Regardless, Judd Apatow's insistence on producing the show in his own vision paid off, as Freaks and Geeks is considered a classic show that never got the attention it deserved, and it launched the careers of some of the most famous comedians and writers of the 2000s and 2010s. Number 3. Terriers.
Shit, his phone's still connected to the car.
Wait, what the hell's that?
It's the Bluetooth.
Well, turn it off!
I'm trying.
There's nothing worse than a show never getting a proper ending, and that's exactly what happened with crime dramedy Terriers. Although buddy cop shows are common, few of them have the charisma, wit, and soul that FX series offered. Its story followed Donald Logue and Michael Raymond Jones, a pair of down-on-their-luck best friends who started their own private investigation business.
You lost your sobriety in that house. You lost your job in that house. You lost your marriage.
The show would often explore darker topics, while the two main characters' comedy would keep it from becoming too grim and existential. It had everything you'd want from a TV series. Likeable characters, a gorgeous setting, clever writing, tons of surprises, and intriguing plot points. With all of these positives in mind, what would let Terriers down in the end is the lacking ad campaign, due to which it never managed to really take off. Number 2. My So-Called Life.
Krakow, did you get any good candidates?
Yeah, I did.
My So-Called Life is ever present in every list of this type. The show practically defined what being a teenager in the 90s was like, with it getting critical acclaim for the way it portrayed the angst that comes with being in high school. It also openly talked about controversial topics, with it featuring the first openly gay teenager on TV, Ricky Vasquez. His character's story revealed a ton of real-world issues through the season, including homophobia, domestic violence, and teenage homelessness.
I mean, the thing is...
Hey, Brian. Could you, pick a sentence and go with it?
My So-Called Life was cancelled after only one season due to two reasons. Mostly low ratings and partly the main character Clay Danes being ready to move on to another project. Regardless, even though it had only one season, it was groundbreaking and had a huge cultural impact, including it marking the first time ever that fans used the internet to campaign for a TV show to be brought back. Number 1. Firefly.
How drunk was I last night?
I don't know. I passed out.
It says here.
Firefly's cancellation is a meme at this point, with it being impossible to mention shows cancelled too early without it getting mentioned itself. It featured a stellar cast that starred Nathan Fillion, exceptional dialogue, and a unique setting. The show's premise centers around a Firefly-class spaceship called Serenity, on which the characters live, arriving in a new star system as humans had to evacuate from Earth and emigrate somewhere else.
Preacher, you got a smutty mind.
Perhaps I spoke out of turn.
Or maybe have something.
Although only 11 of the show's 14 episodes aired, fans were furious about Firefly getting cancelled, and many of them still use every opportunity they get to wax lyrical about the series. They did get some closure in the follow-up film Serenity, which is awesome. Not to mention, Disney Plus has plans to produce a reboot with brand new adventures for the crew of the Serenity spaceship. Thank you for watching, guys. What's your favorite one-season show of all time? Do you wish it had more seasons? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Thank you and see you next time.